ladies and gentlemen, and welcome as Para-X presents Keeping the Spirits Alive. This is a show that represents a fresh perspective into the world of paranormal investigating and related topics, and how history plays an important role in keeping the spirits alive. This is your co-host, Chip Reichenfeld, and while we're preserving history one location at a time, I'm proud to introduce our host, founder of the renowned paranormal investigative team, Glory Haunted Hounds, Mr. John Tobin.
Here we go.
Yes, indeed.
Welcome to another week of Keeping the Spirits Alive.
Happy Monday, everybody.
Happy Columbus Day.
Oh, that too, yeah.
Absolutely. This is the day when Columbus discovered that he's done a heck of a lot of sailing and needed to find some place to stay.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's called, right?
That's what I heard, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, we got a great show for you this week. Another great show, I'd like to say. Yeah, absolutely. We've got Johnny Hauser with us from Everyday Paranormal.
Yes.
The Dead Truth Show. A special live ghost hunt coming up on the interweb that we will definitely be talking about.
Yeah, we like that interweb, except when I get information off of it.
Information. We don't like it when Chip gets the information.
No, because it's the wrong information.
It's the wrong information. And we're going to talk about all kinds of cool stuff with Johnny. We also have our feature segment, the Paranews with Phillip Bruenelle from Haunted Society.
Which is awesome.
And I want you all to go line up on your telephones and call in Mr. Johnny Hauser. Call him at 518-300-3619 with any questions or comments. We are giving away a pair of tickets. Chip, tell them more.
Yes, we are. It's to our October 20th event at Brookside Museum, which is in Saratoga County, celebrating the haunted history of Saratoga County and beyond, including special guest Para-X's own Reverend Tim Shaw, author Miranda Dorfler, and many surprises. It's going to be very, very cool. And
John and Chip will be there telling some stories.
Yes, we will.
And bringing some goodies, raffling off some stuff. So without further ado, because we like to waste a lot of time here.
A lot of time. Speaking of wasting time, here's our Chipism this week.
Oh, I was supposed to introduce that. Wait a minute.
Okay.
Say, wait, time out. Last week we had a Johnism, and you introduced me. So without further ado, here is Mr. Chip Reichenthal with this week's Chipism.
Thank you, John. And actually, the October 20th history thing at the Brookside kind of brings into perspective to this week's Chipism. So here we are. It's 6 degrees of Chipism. In this week's Chipism, broadcasted on Para-X, a network rich in talking about the paranormal, mysticism, spirit, on a show accentuating history in regard to investigations. And it occurred to me that not so long ago, history didn't mean much to me. While I was younger. It's us, the now older and wiser, trying to impart our wisdom on the young who think they already know more than we do. And that was me not too long ago. Yes, not too long ago, I was actually a nightclub DJ, and it was the new music that was cool, but so many others wanted to reminisce, wanted to remember, wanted oldies, and I was intent on being the guy who made new songs cool. It was status for me to be the guy who was first to bring a cool New York City song, for example, to Albany and make it popular here. At the time, radio followed us, the club DJs. They saw what songs were cool at the club and then aired it on radio. And nowadays, it's the opposite. If radio has it, we would have to play it. The reason I bring this up now is that on November 17th, 1987, I won an award for being Albany's best nightclub DJ. Yes, DJ Chip had his 15 minutes of fame 25 years ago next month. And where am I going to be on the 25th anniversary of winning my award? With John Tobin in Buffalo at the Deftone Pictures Ombus movie cast party. Now, Ombus is the movie my wife Terry and I were extras in, playing soulless mutants, and we'll be there with my current radio partner and best friend here, celebrating what most impacts me now on a day making the anniversary of what impacted me most then. The movie's executive producer, Mike Schiabarassi, just celebrated 500 Facebook friends. He went on Facebook intending 5 friends. I have more Facebook friends from Buffalo than I do here. I'm among them, proud to say, is Parax's own Reverend Tim Shaw. Now, Reverend Tim, also cast in the Omnibus movie, is celebrating the release of his book, Please Talk With Me, a superbly written book about the C2D1 haunting of Krista Cesare, a student at SUNY Geneseo. In the book, a theory on why this student was targeted may have something to do with the history of that area. In the 1770s, yes, I'm going there, the 1770s, the American Indians had formed a bond with each other, mainly because of a new, fierce common enemy. The white man wanted some of the land the Indians had. The British said, in essence, we'll leave you guys alone for the most part if you help us fight the American revolutionaries. The revolutionaries, upon hearing this, wanted the Indians and the British to burn. 2 American soldiers on a surveillance of the area were captured and horribly tortured in an area that eventually became SUNY Geneseo. Now, Reverend Tim Shaw saw this similarity, thinking that may be a reason that Krista Cesare was targeted. And during a Q&A, I actually learned that Krista Cesare had in his lineage not only a history of psychics and fortune tellers, but a revolutionary soldier who may have actually served in the same unit as the tortured soldier who may be the one who haunted him. Some of Western New York's rich history, including that story, will be presented October 20th at the Brookside Museum, along with Saratoga County history, as Reverend Tim, John Tobin, and I, with others, present a night of haunted history. More on that in a moment. Still, talking ghosts and history of Western New York coming to Eastern New York touches on the very foundation of talking with spirits of the discarnate, spiritualism. Not just that, either. Chip here is a certified hypnotist. The foundation of hypnosis comes from Franz Mesmer, the father of modern hypnosis, hence the term mesmerism. Now, spiritualism was popularized largely by Mesmer, after 2 young sisters, Kate and Margaret Fox, started having witnessed and documented conversations with the spirit of a murdered peddler, which began the spiritualism movement in Arcadia, New York, a town just outside of Rochester, in 1848. Now, spiritualism really took off in western New York, areas called the Burnt Over District, where a new movement spread in an area highly evangelic, to counter thinking on not only communicating with the dead, but abolition and women's rights. Spiritualism quickly became somewhat of an entertainment form and spread quickly to our area, including outskirts of Saratoga, to rival popular entertainment forms like gambling and horse racing, and some primary businesses here started actually because of seances with spirits of some of the most profound and amazing people from our nation's past. We can disclose who at our event at the Brookside Museum on October 20th. More on that in a moment. Now, spiritualism included things like seances, healings, hypnosis, and refining intuition. Chasing spirits in the hopes on contacting or engaging them is what my life's purpose has become. Using telepathy, clairvoyance, and intuition is something that I was rather good at, that I still am desperately working on to recapture. Now, if you think on intuition for a moment, that 6th sense, that takes us back also, way back. Before electricity, before enclosed space housing, before what we call civilized living. We needed that intuition. We needed that feeling in the pit of our gut telling us something is wrong. 6th sense. If you think about it, it's essential to our survival. Truly. That feeling in the pit of our gut is designed to warn us there's a predator behind us in the wood, prepared to attack. It was, and still should be, essential to our survival. Why then is it so scoffed, so ridiculed, so disregarded? It should be taught in every classroom how to improve our ability to use it for survival. This thing they call women's intuition can save countless women from predatory attacks, illnesses, abuse, even breast cancer, especially since October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. But also in October, on the 20th, is an event at the Brookside Museum in Saratoga County that ties in Saratoga County history with its haunted history. Chip Reichenthal and his wife Terry will be there. John Tobin, Kathy Shabbat, members from Glory Haunt Hound's Paranormal Research Team will be there. Parax's own Reverend Tim Shaw will be there. Perhaps even survivors of the C2D1 haunting may show, and author Miranda Dorfler will be there as well. So, 6 degrees of history leads us to the fact that 2 tickets to the event could be given away this hour. People should go anyway, whether they win tickets or not. At only $10 a ticket, it's the most fun you'll have outside of a chipism on keeping the spirits alive. John?
Well, hello. Thank you for waking me up from my nap. Awesome. I'm sorry. Did I say that with my outside voice?
That stung. That
Oh,
one stung.
sorry. Without further ado, since he's probably napping at this point, let's bring on our special guest this week. And, hey, Johnny, are you still awake?
Oh,
Yeah, how you guys doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I just wanted to make sure Chip didn't put you to sleep there.
Oh, funny.
No, I enjoy the whole Fox Sisters story. I've been kind of researching that in the last couple months myself.
Oh, well,
Oh,
see,
no kidding.
thank you. There's a man with great taste right there, John.
Oh, well, yeah. Excellent. Hey, how you been?
Oh, busy.
Busy?
Busy but good, I guess. Busy is good.
Busy but good. Hey, you know what? I want to start off before we get all nice and tell you how much we love you. I have a bone to pick with you.
Okay.
And that bone is, I sat down the other night, I was coming to bed, and I was all excited to sit down and watch the cringe Crystal Caves. I got all snuggly in my bed, I got all curled up, turned my Roku on, put my TV on, watched it, and 5 minutes into it, stops. And I don't get to see the end of it yet. What's going on? When do I get to see the rest?
Well, you know, I started the Little Cringe series because my wife has ADD so bad that she just can't focus on anything more than 5 minutes. And I'm always trying to tell her this stuff, and so I just made a little 5-minute things to capture her attention, and then I thought, oh, shoot, I'll just keep making more of these. So there's about 10 of them so far, and I just need to get those uploaded.
Oh, so
nice.
so please just tell me I don't have to wait too long because I was really interested. I didn't know anything about the Crystal Caves, and it was fascinating. So there will be more soon. I see.
Yes, and you know, a lot of people thought that he found the answer to anti-gravity. You know, a lot of people swore by that, but then some people think that, you know, when you get back to primitive ways and primitive thinking, then you can do primitive things, just, you know, just like Stonehenge and the pyramids.
Right.
But, you know, some people think it's physics, other people think it's supernatural, and I just kind of leave it up to the viewer to decide.
Yeah, fascinating stuff. I can't wait to see more of it. I mean, it's something that, you know, I've heard you speak before on this, that, you know, the paranormal, as you've mentioned before, is often thought of as, you know, people think ghosts, and there's so much more than just ghosts. I mean, of course, we all love ghosts and ghost stories and all that, but this is just another part. And like you said, there's a lot of things that people tend to think are not paranormal, but there's certainly a connection on a lot of these, or at least, you know, lens that way, I would say.
Yeah, you know, I was like, you know, when Napoleon Dynamite came out and he's giving the speech on Loch Ness Monster and everybody's laughing, that was literally me in 7th grade. I did a speech on Loch Ness, and I was kind of that nerdy kid that, you know, I'm really surprised I've ever had a girlfriend, to tell you the truth. But
it's the beard.
Well, smart is cooler now than it was back in that day.
Yeah, paranormal and the cool beard will get chicks every time.
exactly.
So
it's all the power of the beard.
Absolutely. So for anyone out there who's not familiar with you, which, you know, somebody is out under a rock that hasn't heard of you yet for some reason, but you're part of Everyday Paranormal. You had a strong involvement with the Viscala Axe Murder House. Did I say Viscala right? Villisca?
Villisca.
Villisca. I always say it wrong. Villisca. I know it's the Axe Murder House, but I can never say it. And you are also a documentary filmmaker, a musician, so you do a little bit of everything.
Yep.
One of the cool things I wanted to ask you about is how did you get involved with the Kling brothers in Everyday Paranormal? How long ago did you get involved with them, and how did that come to be?
Probably about 2 or 3 years ago when they filmed at the Axe Murder House. You know, every single TV show that's ever been there, I've kept close contact with the producers, the cameramen, the directors, and just because that's what I'm interested in, and I want to learn from people and take little bits from everybody I meet. And Brad and Barry actually, you know, were a couple of the guys I kept in close contact with, and didn't talk to him for a few months, and I pocket dialed Brad one night, and I looked at my phone and thought, oh, geez, of all people to pocket dial, why is it going to be Brad?
He's going to start swearing at you or something.
Yeah, and so I hung up really quick, and the next day he pocket dialed me, and I'm sitting there listening. He's going through a drive-through ordering supper, and pretty soon you hear, hello? It's like, hey, this is Hauser from the Axe Murder House. He's like, oh, how you doing? And we got to talking about, what we've been up to, and I said I've been, still cranking away on filmmaking, and he goes, well, we want to do a new show called The Dead Truth, and we're looking for a possible cameraman or an editor. It's like, well, I'll do it, definitely. So 2 days later, Barry calls and asks if I just want to be a full-on member of Everyday Paranormal and do on-camera stuff, too, and of course, that was a no-brainer.
Yeah.
It all stemmed from a pocket dial.
Well, some of the best things happen from butt dialing people.
Yeah, but not to me.
Well, I assumed it was butt dialing. It could have been your front pocket. I don't really know.
Yeah. Wow.
It could have been your front pocket, or you were just happy to hear from them. Who knows?
Yeah.
I was going to get a smartphone, but now I got to get a butt phone because, boy, they work much better.
Yeah, that's right. It's a new feature. They're going to actually just build in the butt dialing feature as an app now. There's an app for that, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So the news that I heard that really was like, wow. And I'm not sure where they are with it right now, but I knew the Kling brothers were taking some time away, stepping away. I don't know if they call it semi-retirement or just kind of working on some other projects. I reached out and found a little bit that they weren't just running away for good, but they were taking some time to do some other stuff, and so they've left you in charge, I believe. Is that still the case?
Yep. They needed a break. We're talking 20-some years of doing this, and in 2 seasons of Ghost Lab, they investigated Alcatraz, slept in Lizzie Borden's bed. It's kind of a what else is there type of a thing. And they just really needed to step away, so they said, we're done. We're going to take a break. Don't know if we're coming back.
Well, they haven't slept in Chip's bed. That's a paranormal experience.
But Chip has to say this. I got to get a phone, man. He's running every day paranormal now. Just one day, they just happened to call, and now he's wow.
Well, I was just mentioning that they haven't slept in Chip's bed. That's the paranormal experience of a lifetime right there. Not that I would know. I don't know this, but I've heard.
It's kind of a man crush, I think.
I don't know. That's awesome, though. Certainly quite a great opportunity for you in a relatively short amount of time. This certainly one of the top groups in the country for sure, if not the world, and quite a reputation that they've developed, and everybody loves them and knows who they are. So that's pretty cool. So what I was going to say was so the Axe Murder House. Going back to that a little bit.
Oh yes,
I had some great questions for you there. How did you become involved with that?
The Valeska.
The very first time I was filming a thing down at the house, a guy named Troy Taylor out of Chicago was.
Oh, one of my mentors, one of my biggest influences, and why I'm sitting here right now.
Yeah, very true.
Yep. Yeah, he did an episode. He was doing a little web series called Cringe, and since he's given me, the rights to take that over, and I was part of that, and I had so many experiences that night. I just wanted to do my own documentary there. Started doing that, and Travel Channel came down and did the top 10 most terrifying places in America the first season, put it #1, and people flocked. So Darwin, the owner, was in his 70s. I said, I'll do an overnight here or there to help you out, while I'm here. And about 6 years later, I'm still here. So,
So you still doing this? Along with everything else you're doing, are you still kind of the main go-to guy for the house?
Yeah, I do a few overnights a week still. We'll still pop over and do day tours now and again. To handle a lot of the TV stuff, talking with whatever shows want to come down and meeting with them, and kind of the back end, which still leaves me tons and tons and tons of time. And all that stuff probably takes maybe 4 hours a week,
Right, so that leaves you still open. Well, you've got it down to a science now, so that's why.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it would take me. It would take me 4 days a week to do that, but that's why I'm not Johnny Hauser.
But I should, in the fairness of all the people that we've talked to about the Valeska Axe, what we call it the Axe Murder House, and it's on some people's bucket list, including some of the people on our chat room here. And I know it involved the bludgeoning death of an entire family of Josiah Moore and 2 overnight guests, June 10th, 1912, if I'm not mistaken, because that's right in front of me. My question, though, is do you recommend overall investigations that deal with family annihilations or murder-suicides or multiple bludgeons? I know it's an unusual question, but people ask me, so I'm asking you.
I think, instances where things so tragic happen, sometimes either the spirits don't even know they're dead, or in this case, the killer was never caught, so they got that big unfinished business, and maybe through means of paranormal, maybe we can find answers for them, or at the very least, tell their story. I think when people stop telling the story of what happened at the axe murder house, then their whole... I think that place should haunt this town of Volusia forever. I think nobody should ever forget about what happened, because then they're forgotten, and I don't think that that's right.
Yeah, I do want to thank you in a certain way. In the research that I've done, including a clip from the Dead Truth and some of the Axe Murder House stuff, I really noticed that you're very along the same lines of what John and I have really been preaching, which is to keep spirit in positive light. I think that perhaps we can engage them and hear their voices and give them a chance perhaps to get out of whatever they're stuck in. We do really love your approach to your investigations and the way that, for example, when you talked about Hiram Jackson on the Cringe edition, the Dead Truth, you put his memory, you really documented a lot of his, what he was about and his passions, and we thank you for that. And how do you really truly like to approach investigations, keeping all that stuff in mind?
When I was very first started, I was always big into going in and antagonizing and whatever it takes to get results, and I've changed my way I do that completely.
Was it something specific?
What are these ghosts got to be mad and scary about? They have no bills to pay, They're just scared. They're lost. They have no idea what they're reaching out for people.
Right.
And so I don't get. If I was to go into a prison, I'd maybe get loud because that's what prisoners respond to, the alpha dog thing.
Yep.
But anymore, I just go in and politely ask questions, try and get to the bottom of things, and that kind of leads me to what I'm doing now with my films. I'm not from a school of the new way of doing it. You go in, you tell the history, and it's 20 minutes of night vision, green shot, and then evidence reveal. That's not who I am or where I come from, which I appreciate that stuff. But
yeah, I love
from
that
here on,
After Effects as much as anyone.
From here on out, I think I'm just going to go in, try and tell the spirit story for them, type of a thing, if that makes any sense.
Oh,
absolutely.
Perfect sense. Yeah, we thank you for that.
Absolutely, and what that leads me to a question. One of the things I always wonder when you're working with a house where so much has happened there, and there's so much history there, and of course an unsolved murder being the background of this. When you go in and get, say, for instance, EVPs, I'm imagining throughout the years you've received probably several EVPs of the same voices. Is that correct? Do you get that a lot?
Yep.
And then when that happens, have there ever been any EVPs that would provide any clues to who the murderer was, as far as saving these for future use and trying to put the pieces of this puzzle together? I would think as a person that loves history, such as myself, that would be a lot. If there's any way to ever close the door on this mystery or come closer to it, has there been any leads from some of these EVPs?
Not really. Whenever you get the family over there, it almost seems like a residual, but then there's definitely intelligent in the house, and I think the intelligent is of the more negative side, and it just tends to toy with people, and just mess with them. Every one of the shows have got different names of who the killer is, and you know, I think whatever is over there it just enjoys messing with people and screwing around with them.
Yeah.
You know, what the film, I got one more cringe series, and then I'm wrapping that up, and then I'm starting full on telling my story,
Okay.
living next to the house, and that ties in with what they could be after. There's thoughts of a possible journal that's stashed within my house where Mary Peckham lived, the neighbor that found them.
Huh.
That's what that's going to deal with, and then that will possibly close, you know, for me, closure on Villisca.
Right. Well, that's, you know, that would be fascinating. I can't wait. Is there a time frame for that, or is this just something that you're going to look at once you close out the cringe series?
I have the first 4 minutes done.
Okay.
So yeah, I'm hoping within the next few months, which is really easy for me because I'm 5 feet away from the house and I can go shoot what I want when I want.
That makes it easier.
Your personal feeling, do you think there's any validity to the journal possibly being there from the former caretaker?
I think so. Absolutely. I think, without a shadow of a doubt, I think Mary Peckham knew what happened. For the fact of the day of the funerals, 3 days after the murder, her family dropped her off in Bozeman, Montana, which is quite a trek in 1912, away from all of her family, and she died 6 months later from a nervous breakdown.
Wow.
And then, you know, adding other things up just screams, her testimony doesn't add up at all. So there's something fishy going on within. And she was an older woman. She couldn't go beat the guy up. She couldn't phone anyone.
Right.
And she was outside doing laundry at the time, right around the time he would have left the house.
So it just it still certainly leaves a lot of questions, but I would tend to think that this whole story sort of, I'm sure you hear this a lot, but it kind of reminds me of the Lizzie Borden story. You know what I mean? Unsolved mystery. Somebody had to know what happened. You know, the answers are out there somewhere, and that's one of the things that I like with our paranormal research that you're doing, that a lot of teams are doing. The ones that focus on the history, you know, there could potentially be a lot of unknown things that come out of this in the long run, and that's certainly something to, you know, to me it's a goal. If I could tell somebody's story, that would mean a lot to me, and I'm sure I really look forward to this documentary you're putting together. I'm sure it's going to be well done and answer some questions that people have probably had for a long time, so that'll be great.
Yeah, and you know, I've wrestled with it for a long time. This has been a thought for about 4 years, and I've started it and stopped it, and it's like, from a filmmaking point of view, I'm like, okay, what's the twist? You know, there's got to be a twist somewhere. And I finally got to the point where, you know, twist or no twist, evidence or no evidence, I'm just telling my story. And I just got to put it out there, and then in that, and then I'm moving on. I got 2 more projects in my head I want to get working on, so
cool.
If I could tell her story, great.
Definitely. Hey, we've got a caller coming in. The caller could call back because that happens to me all the time. But if you're going to call right back, we will take you. We'll take you on the air real quick. I want to ask you about something, and then if the caller comes in, I may jump in and let them ask a question, and if that's okay with you. But Mike, what I wanted to talk about is this cool thing coming up, the Halloween Yahoo Internet Ghost Hunt. Can you tell us a little bit about that? That sounds. I'm really looking forward to this.
Yeah. My buddy Tim Wood from Live Sci-Fi, who's I'd like to easily say one of the pioneers of the live broadcast. This guy was doing it years and years and years ago. I've done 2 or 3 with him, and haven't talked to him for a while, and he calls up, he goes, hey, you want to do a ghost hunt for Halloween, you know, another live broadcast? And I thought, yeah, sure, why not? You know, I love working with him.
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, why not?
Boy,
it's got to find out. It's for Yahoo by Yahoo. It's going to be on Yahoo's main page, sponsored by Dickies and a number of other. Which anybody who knows me knows I'm in Dickies 24/7. So it was a real treat to get some free Dickies clothing in the mail.
Oh, sure,
my order.
Chip
Yeah,
likes
good
Dickies
stuff.
too, but I don't know if
Yeah,
it's the clothing or not.
It's not just the clothes, though, and it's not the phone. You know, we were talking earlier, not a smartphone, but a butt phone because of your butt. But not even that, it's your phone, man. I want to get a hold of your phone because you just get all these great calls.
No kidding.
You know, speaking of calls, we wanted to remind our listeners.
Whoever just called in, yep, we've called back, and we'll gladly get you on the air here with Johnny. 518-300-3619. Call us back if you can, please.
Yep, or anybody who has a question.
Anyone else a question, of course. Hey, Johnny, is the ghost hunt on Halloween now? Has the location been revealed?
Location, not yet, as far as I know, has been revealed, but it'll be 2 full days nonstop broadcasting.
Oh, so it's going to be on 48 hours of nonstop broadcasting.
I'll go to the location Monday, we'll set up, and then we start rolling Tuesday through Wednesday.
Oh, that's going to be great. So, you know...
Yeah, you give me your phone, I'll give you some of my Red Bull,
and,
you know.
And you never know. There may be some pocket dialing during the show. You never know.
Definitely in watching that.
We got the caller coming back, and we're going to bring you on. Caller from the 518 area code. I just put Johnny on hold, I believe, by mistake, but who's there?
It's Jason from Chaotic Paranormal.
Jason, how's it going, brother?
How you doing, man?
Good, it's Kirkman. Sorry, I'm on my cell phone and like going in and out of service. It's bad up here in the mountains.
Oh, that's
I
had a phone like that. You know, no worries.
No problem. Did you have if I don't have Johnny Snow on the line, I'll get him back. But if you do, have a question for him, and we'll pull him back on after I clicked the wrong button because I'm good like that.
I was just gonna ask him what does he find? Does he find it good when they have family members for these when he does the historical? And if he finds having family members in there with him during the investigation, if it's a good trigger. And what percentage is it usually he feels it's a good trigger?
Do you mean family members of his or of the relations to the
house or the area that they're investigating?
What an awesome question.
Hey, and did you want 2 tickets to our event on the 20th?
Oh, yeah, we'd love to.
Awesome, very cool. So I know I have your contact information. So we'd love to see you on the 20th. I will make sure we get 2 tickets out to you right away, Jason. That's awesome. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah, no, I'll actually finally get a chance to shake your hand, so that'll be a beautiful
thing. That'd be great, because we've been looking forward to meeting as far as the group, Heather, me, and Jen, and everybody.
Definitely. Looking forward to meeting you guys, too. So I'm going to ask Johnny that question. I'm going to get him back on the line, because like a moron, I think I hung up on him to take your call instead of hitting add to the conference. So let me get him right back.
My cell phone don't go out of service.
So stay tuned, and we'll have the answer for you here in just a second.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jason.
Yep.
Talk to you soon.
Awesome. That's Jason from Chaotic Paranormal, who we've heard of. Very, very good organization. I believe that I was actually Fan of the Week a couple of weeks ago. So I'm
let me get Johnny back on the phone here, since I apparently don't know how to dial a phone here.
Happens to the
or
best
how to put them on hold.
Well, I think we both need a butt phone then.
We do. I could do that, but
I need one of those.
So, anywho, Chip, take over, brother.
Oh, okay. Well, that's what I was trying to do.
Enjoy this ringback tone.
Enjoy this ringback tone.
Cellular customer is reached.
She sounds hot.
Johnny, hey, you still there?
Yeah.
All right, I want to put you on hold to take the other call. Like, watch, I'm going to do this the right way now. Add to conference call. Hey, caller from 518 area code. We have Johnny back on the line, and then we're going to ask your question, then I'll get back to Jason's question.
That is so
cool. I'm back.
Wow.
Jason, you're back?
Yeah, I'm back.
Very cool.
Sorry, phone went out again. I told you that was going to happen.
Oh, no problem. Hey, so Johnny, Jason's question was pretty cool. He said if you ever, this could go for the Axe Murder House or I guess anywhere, if you ever have relatives to the spirits in the location, in the household, do you think that adds to the level of energy or the level of responsiveness you get at a location when you're investigating?
Great question.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, it is definitely a great question. I think, ghosts or spirits are going to respond most to what they're familiar with. There's, a group called Resident Undead that does a Ripple in Time where they reenact in period clothing just a scene from time, and I think that familiarity really responds to them, and if it's a family member, they're more apt to talk to you than a stranger.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what I would think too. Have you ever? And now here's an interesting. I'll add to Jason's question. Has that ever come up at the axe murder house where you've actually had distant relatives of the victims come there?
Yep, I've done tours for the Moores and the Stillingers, and most of theirs was just wanting to know the history, and thanking us for keeping their legacy alive. But after they left, you could definitely tell the place was kind of amped up a little bit.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we're really big to the big of history and informational too. We're big history buffs and chaotic.
And Jason's with another New York group called Chaotic Paranormal, good friends to us here on the show. So they tune in every week. Great bunch of guys. So thanks very much for your question, Jason. And we'll see you on the 20th.
Yeah.
All right.
That's very cool. We got a John, a Johnny, and a Jason, and I feel so left out with a CH name, I'm going to change my name to Jip, just for...
Wow.
There you go. That sounds good in spring to it.
Absolutely.
Yes, it does.
Hey, Johnny, I got a question for you. On the Halloween show, what role will your beard be playing?
My beard will be acting as a Mel meter and tri-field meter.
Nice.
Oh, wow.
Nice. I thought it would be a good trigger object, too.
Yep. The Native Americans felt that their long hair were almost, sensors and antennas and things, so maybe the beard will work as the same.
Wow, that's right. I forgot all about that.
That would be quite interesting.
That is so cool.
So when are we? Are we going to have? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Clean shaven would scare the spirits away. I look like a fat 12-year-old.
Oh my gosh, I look like a fat 12-year-old too, but I have a beard. So I have no. That's it.
Yeah, I just like hiding my face with mine. That's the only purpose of it. But yours is doing double duty. I mean, that's cool.
So when are we going to get to actually find out where? Do we have to wait till the investigation to find out where you're going to be, or will they announce it beforehand on Halloween?
I imagine they'll announce it within the next couple of weeks.
All right, very cool. So that announcement, of course, will be on Facebook, Everyday Paranormal's Facebook, Johnny's Facebook, that sort of thing. I imagine will be all over the place, and on Yahoo, of course.
Yeah, on Yahoo.
Yep.
Wow.
Very cool.
I mean, that's huge.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be a huge, awesome event. So have you've done these live events with them before as well? Or is this the first one on Yahoo?
I've done several live events with Tim from Live Sci-Fi, but nothing of this magnitude. I mean, Yahoo's main page is a lot of people watching, and from what I understand, there's no real live broadcast ghost hunts going out this year like there have been in the past years with the TV shows.
Wow, come to think of it, that's
you've got no
true.
competition, and a lot of people look forward to that because it's a cool thing, and now
you'll be bigger
you're in
than
the spotlight.
Bigger than Honey Boo Boo.
Honey, Honey
I
Boo
hope
Boo.
so anyway. Please be bigger than
Honey Boo Boo.
Hey, and there's no truth to the actual rumor that you're actually from Compton, right? That's just says on your Facebook page.
That's the street.
I was really, really young. We lived in an apartment complex and ended up moving to Iowa. It started to get a little rough. And
wow.
My parents wanted to raise a family where nothing happened, and that was Iowa.
Compton and Iowa are kind of similar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're just East Coast. We roll like that,
So, I still have a little bit of the West Coast style. I guess I'm the only person wearing Dickies and Chucks head to toe.
But you could start a new trend out there.
We've got our gang sign, but you've got a beard that does two things at a paranormal event. So you got to speed no matter what.
Definitely, that goes without saying. Yeah. So, besides all of this stuff, with Everyday Paranormal, the Axe Murder House, the live ghost hunt on Yahoo, and of course your documentary films, the Cringe series, and then the documentary on the Axe Murder House coming up. What else do you have going on? Did I cover everything?
Let's see. I'm collaborating some songs right now with Wade Jennings, which is Waylon's grandson.
Oh, very cool.
No kidding. Ooh.
Yeah.
See,
so
I was an outlaw back in the day. That's very cool.
And of course, you get to work with Kathy Cash. Is she a musician as well, or just?
No, she not a musician. She, I asked her the same thing right off the bat. And she's like, not my thing. But she's very gifted. When it comes to some psychic abilities, which I have always been on the fence about psychics. You know, I believe people can possess the gift, but I think there's a lot of people that are frauds out there.
Mm-hmm.
So we put it to the test on one of the episodes, and I mean, she nailed
Nice.
stuff she shouldn't have known, and that
I like it when that
made
happens.
me a true believer again.
Mm-hmm. I like it when that happens because it restores your faith. Because we've run across a couple of bad ones, and it kind of damages you in that regard for a little while.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. There are very few and far between, and when you can find one that's really hitting it on, that you got to stick with them. She must be awesome to work with, I imagine. Of course, working with the Kling brothers. And so, as far as what you're doing with Everyday Paranormal, are you setting up regular investigations with them too? I mean, when people call you and say, "Hey, I've got this problem or this trouble," or are you just seeking out places you want to investigate with Everyday?
I'm going to do a few places that some people have contacted me with, but I think here, coming up for this new year, I'm just really going to concentrate on filmmaking, documentary filmmaking, and just telling the stories. You know, I have such a love for the paranormal, from aliens to conspiracies to monsters to legends, and me going to all these places and trying to find evidence has kind of almost ruined that love a little bit. I miss the wonder, the excitement, the not knowing, you know.
Yeah.
So at this point, I don't even care if I get evidence. You're not going to, unless you have Abraham Lincoln in a Harvard laboratory answering questions for 2 weeks straight.
Yeah.
Nobody is really going to prove the existence beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Thank you for saying that, because I say that all the time.
He does.
And, I mean, the science is all good, but two things that I do this for: the fun of it and the history. And I'm not out to prove anything other than showing people that I believe this stuff is out there and getting up whatever evidence I can to support my belief. And that's all it is. It's an opinion and a belief, and that's all we're going to really have to go by for the next...
Yep.
They've been trying to prove this for hundreds of years. Let's have fun with it. Let's enjoy it. Let's try to figure out what we can. But there's always going to be somebody out there that says, "Oh, come on, this isn't real." But, we've all had our experiences, and we can make up our own minds, right?
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. And, this was last couple weekends ago down at Scarefest in Kentucky. I got to pick the brain of a guy who studied under Rod Serling and Ray Bradbury. And those two, Ray Bradbury and Rod Serling, are absolute heroes of mine.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And he gave me personal advice that, Rod Serling gave him on filmmaking and storytelling. And of course, anybody that knows me knows my all-time heroes are the Booth brothers. I love the Booth brothers, and I just want to go back down to Scarefest with my films and showcase that, and tell stories of the ghosts, maybe from their point of view, or their stories. The Booth brothers, I love how they do it. It's full of emotion and full of stories, and
you
get the paranormal aspect, but you got that story.
The emotional value, too.
Where you have nothing.
Just like you mentioned Rod Serling a little while back, I used to have a landlady who went to high school with Rod Serling, and it was kind of a crush of his. So she had a lot of very interesting information to offer about him, but he was also really going for the value of the heart of the story, which is, especially if you're filmmaking, very, very good. Any advice you get based on anything that Rod Serling said, as somebody who knew his high school crush, I will say, man, run with it. A quick question about your filmmaking, because that's something that you and I have a lot in common with. You got stuff in common with John about some very neat things.
You make films, and Chep watches them.
No, you make films, and I try to make films. You're good at it, and I'm not. But the question I guess I have is... I got very caught up in the CS5, the Adobe set, and it's a little like learning another language. But do you use anything similar to that, or are you more of an Apple or a Sony dude, or what kind of stuff?
I'm definitely a Mac guy when it comes to editing, and that was shown to me by a couple friends of mine, Eric Paulin, who, of course, produced a lot of the Ghost of Interest episodes.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, dude, try a Mac. And so I went and got a Mac, and it's so much better. I use Premiere Pro and Final Cut, and also After Effects on a Mac. That's what I do all my editing on.
Nice.
And you've done some work with Chad Selleck from Paranormal State, right? I believe I read that you had done some work with him in the past as well. He does a lot of really cool films too.
Yeah, and he was one of the guys that really kind of motivated me to do this stuff with film. And the very first show or anything I've ever had anything to do with was American Ghost Hunter when they came to Villisca for that portion. And I was asked, man, how do you do this? I'm just, I want to do my films. He's like, you want to be on a show? Start a show. You want to do films? Do a film. Just do it. And that really has kind of stuck with me. Yeah, just do it. And the very first one I did was with a $100 handheld camcorder, and it was horrible, and I've since taken it off, and nobody will ever see it again. But that allowed me to raise enough money to buy a better camera. And, everything just keeps evolving. You got to start somewhere. Just do it. And like with the cringe stuff, I was telling the guy that, studied under Rod Serling and everything, right now I'm just doing these little 5-minute segments. He goes, the best sci-fi show I've ever seen was 2 minutes long. And he said Rod Serling told him, the best science fiction story ever is only 10 seconds long. Ooh. I was like, really? What was that? He goes, he was the last man on Earth. Then he heard a knock at the door.
I love that. I've heard that before. That's awesome. I do love that. Hey, not to cut you short here, but I want to run through your things real quick and then let people know where they can find more information. Of course, Johnny is the current leader of Everyday Paranormal. Yeah. He leads tours at the Villisca Axe Murder House. He has a live Halloween ghost hunt on Yahoo, which starts Tuesday night into Wednesday. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
And that'll be on yahoo.com. Also, documentary filmmaker. We're working on The Dead Truth, the Cringe series, and then some Axe Murder stuff coming up after that. If people want more information on you, where is the best place for them to go?
Just my Facebook page, I guess, Facebook.com/Johnny Hauser.
Okay.
That's where I do everything, and Twitter under Johnny Hauser.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Hey, thanks so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us this week on Keeping the Spirits Alive.
Great pleasure meeting you.
We could talk to you for hours and hours, so I'd love to have you on again sometime, and I really appreciate it, Johnny.
Absolutely, and if you guys get a chance, here's my little plug out there. Check out John Tenney with realmoftheweird.com. The guy is my hero. And
what? John Tenney is my guest next
guy.
week.
Yes, that's right.
So there's a good tie-in. You just promoted my show at the same time. Yoo-hoo.
Cool. John Tenney's one of my best friends, and I love that guy to death. I think he's so important.
Such a neat dude.
So here, maybe we can have you call in next week when John's on with a cool question that we wouldn't even think of. Yeah. Would you do that?
Absolutely.
Awesome.
And go buy some Booth Brothers films.
Definitely. Love the Booth Brothers. I've got Spooked DVR'd for about the 5th time. I'm going to watch it again. I have it on my DVR out in the living room, so I'm going to watch that again soon. But thanks so much, and I will send you a reminder to call in with a cool question for John, because I'm sure he won't be expecting that.
Will do.
Awesome. Thanks. Have a great night.
Yeah, great meeting you, Johnny. Thanks.
Bye-bye. And that said, we have a cool segment coming back to the show again this week. Thank you very much to Mr. Johnny Hauser. That was a wonderful time.
Yep.
We are going to be having the Paranews with Mr. Phillip Bruenelle from Haunted Society momentarily. And wonder what is new in the Paranews this week.
Yeah, we had some very neat stuff a couple of weeks ago. Back to Johnny Hauser, Everyday Paranormal on Facebook also, facebook.com/Everyday Paranormal. Find some really neat stuff on Johnny Hauser.
And we're calling Phillip Bruenelle.
We are calling.
Hello.
Hey, Phillip.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good.
You are on live here, Keeping the Spirits Alive.
Yeah, nice to have you back.
Right.
Phil from Haunted Society. Let us know, real quick, what is new in Paranews this week?
All right. Well, first of all, since Halloween season's here, I was actually working on an article about celebrity ghost stories, and my research actually turned up a story from a couple of years ago about a pop singer known as Kesha.
Oh, Kesha,
and,
right.
And I'm sure the majority of people have heard about it since then. But the original story, actually, that dated back a couple of years ago, went on to describe Kesha going through some quote-unquote frightening paranormal experiences, to where she was actually saying that, she was scared of all of this. And I wanted to include this story on the upcoming article that I'm doing on celebrity ghost stories for this Halloween season. And in doing so, it was a little strange, but somehow her story changed from being what was said to be frightening paranormal experiences into erotic sexual experiences with a ghost.
Oh.
And
that's different.
I mean, it really shocked me listening to her describe everything this way, because I was expecting to talk about the story of her frightening experiences that she described a couple of years ago, but somehow that story had changed into something completely different.
Yeah.
But, I mean, conveniently, Kesha said that these erotic sexual experiences with the male spirit led to like a spiritual quest that ultimately inspired many of the songs on her new album that's coming out in a couple months.
Wow, that's one way to promote it.
I mean, the thing is...
She looks like a scary sexual experience in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, it's just a little... When you listen to the way she described the story, it just seemed like... I mean, obviously, she's not the first person to claim that she's had sex with the spirit. There's obviously what's known as an incubus and a succubus. And, you know what I mean? So the topic itself has been brought up many times before, but the way that she's describing everything is almost as if it's something out of like a paranormal romance novel. You know what I mean? It's just nothing about it sounded realistic in any way. And it almost seemed as if she was conveniently changing her story on what was once a couple of years ago something that she claimed to be terrifying, to now a couple months before an album's coming out that she's saying that this is, these experiences have inspired. It just seems almost like a publicity stunt, maybe.
Yeah, that or the spirit looked like Mick Jagger. So it's possible.
Yeah.
Judging from
she's
her songs,
she's not even the first celebrity to claim that she's had sex with a ghost. The first celebrity was actually Anna Nicole Smith.
Oh, wow.
And back in 2004, and a lot of people don't even realize that. And months after Anna Nicole was saying that she had sex with a ghost, she died from a drug overdose.
Right.
And
that 92-year-old husband of hers.
If Kesha's being serious, who am I to say maybe she really has had some kind of erotic sexual experiences with the spirit? Maybe she has.
I think the guy was alive at the time.
It's just a publicity stunt. But if it's anything to do with the state of mind and delusion because of drug abuse, such as in Anna Nicole's situation, or at least what was suspected in Anna Nicole's situation, then, that's another thing that I'm wondering, too, because, it's one of the three, that's for sure.
I must say that when this stuff comes out, it really, I guess it comes out more in the limelight because these people are celebrities. So obviously, a celebrity says something like this, it makes the news. If I say I have sex with a ghost, it not only doesn't make the news, I probably get kicked out of my house and all this other stuff and
she needs to think about her image. If this is a publicity stunt, she's marketing her brand, the Kesha brand, as, you know what I mean, the singer who had sex with a ghost now. Yeah. That's, no matter what, that's how she's always going to be known as.
And there's probably a niche audience out there that would think that was really awesome and cool and buy her album just to hear these
songs. And
I'm
sure that a lot of people will buy it just because of the fact that she's tied this in.
But on the same token,
but it's a couple of things that are cool at the moment. Paranormal, sex, just time together, and have an album.
On the same token, I'd have to say
there's celebrity gossip sells.
Yeah, there's got to be a lot of
you mix it all with the paranormal, and I guess you get a great story. But
there's got to be a lot of people there that would be, in the same token, though, that just think it's a crock of bull and would be turned off and not buy the records, though, too, and be like, this is just. They will figure it out. I think it's an attempt to sell records.
A lot of respect from some people because of this. I'm sure she has.
Yeah. Till the para shuts us down.
So,
shuts us down.
What is your your view on this? Do you think it's just a publicity stunt, or do you think she thinks this really happened?
I personally spoke with her in this interview. I went through her publicist, and when I first put this out there, I was a little concerned that people were going to think that I was putting out a fluff piece, that no one would believe it. And the next day, all of a sudden, she's on with Ryan Seacrest, and she's saying almost word for word everything that was put in my article the day before, which I was really relieved about because I was worried about my own reputation being on the line.
I hope two of those words were Phillip and Bruenelle.
After she did that, I honestly think, because, I mean, I wish I had recorded the interview, but in order to do that and release the audio, I'd actually have to pay to do that.
We'd pay you.
But I honestly think that by the way she was describing everything, it sounded, I hate to say it, but it really sounded like a publicity stunt.
I will say,
it doesn't sound realistic.
I will say one thing that
about these experiences, and it just does not sound like the explanation that someone would give if they had an experience with like an incubus or succubus.
What I will say, though, is I will go ahead and volunteer my co-host over here, Chip. If there are any spirits out there listening that would like to have sex with a human, give us a call, and we'll set it up for you. Chip is more than happy
for the past year and a half now. So
wait, yeah.
I'm first to volunteer.
Oh, you're stepping in front of Chip for that one.
That's all right, because for me, they'd have to throw in a music career and maybe
that's true.
Drugs
as long as I can make an album out of it, get a book deal, I'm there.
I'll do it. I'll say, you know what,
line, man.
I'm sure that I've had experiences with a lot worse than ghosts in my lifetime. So, it could be that. Hey, we have a couple minutes left. Is there anything else out there in the world of news that you want to just touch on for us? Well, I shouldn't say touch anything.
Yeah, there's a couple things, but if we only get a couple minutes left, I understand that the time's pressed. So I'm actually, just to mention really quickly, I'm actually working right now with the promotions coordinator for the new movie Paranormal Activity 4.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, definitely talk about this. Go ahead. Yeah, that's
yes,
great.
we're looking forward to seeing Paranormal Activity 4 coming soon to a theater near you. Go ahead, Phillip.
Well, actually, if you guys are looking forward to seeing it, you're in New York, right?
Yes, we are. Not New York City,
and
though.
Actually, I don't know what you're doing on October 18th, the movie comes out on the 19th, but the promotions coordinator for Paranormal Activity 4 had gave me 100 pre-screening movie tickets that are in 5 different cities, including New York, LA, Houston, Miami, and Chicago. And I have about 20 to 25 movie tickets for pre-screening movie tickets for the day prior, which is on October 18th. So if anybody is in any of those areas that's listening right now that wants those tickets, they can go to my Twitter page, which is at Phillip Bruenelle, PhillipBrunelle, and I'll actually, between tonight and tomorrow, be giving away all of those tickets absolutely free.
Oh, that's
awesome. Those 5 cities. So I can put one of those on hold for you guys if you want as well.
I'll have to get back to you because that's a couple hours. That's also Kathy, my publicist and other better half's birthday. So but that would be kind of a cool gift too, right?
Yeah, well, I'll put a couple on hold just in case.
All right, cool. We'll definitely let you know on that. But thank you for that. That's going to be very cool that they did that.
At Phillip Bruenelle on Twitter, though. In the meantime, that's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. So that's about going to wrap it up for this week, Phillip. We appreciate that. I love this segment.
Yeah, we do love it.
Make an announcement here. We just booked a deal that Phillip is going to be our year in review guest on New Year's Eve.
New Year's Eve.
While a lot of people are taking New Year's Eve off, I'm guessing we're going to be here live with Phillip for the whole show, talking about the year in paranormal. So we're really excited about that.
Yeah, because we know that
I have a sexual erotic encounter with the ghost.
Maybe
I'll be available.
Unless you are, yeah. If that happens, let us know, and we'll maybe we can do a live broadcast. I don't know. We're going down the road bad here, so
I don't know about that.
Just screen them for infections.
That's right. That's exactly.
Even if they're dead, you never know.
I never know. All right, Phillip. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again a week after next.
All right, sounds good.
Have a great night. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks, Phillip. Awesome job.
Awesome. So with that said, we're just about out of time. Again, for another week of Keeping the Spirits Alive, we want to thank our guest tonight, Johnny Hauser.
Who was great.
Phillip Bruenelle from Haunted Society.
Who was great.
Jason and the folks from Chaotic Paranormal. Wow. Not Paranormal. See, he's got me all messed
talking
up.
About sleeping with the dead.
Paranormal, who will be joining us now at our Brookside Museum. If you want tickets to that.
That's awesome.
October 20th.
October 20th.
Hit us up and $10.
It was worthy of a chipism.
Absolutely. So. Well, that said, thank you so much for joining us, and we are on to The Shadows.
Hi, this is Steve Gonzalez. You're listening to Keeping the Spirits Alive with John and Chip on the Para X Radio Network.
Whether you're listening at home, at work, or anywhere, thanks for making Para X part of your day. Your source for everything paranormal, Para X.